And g'day behind the steel curtain. Welcome to Steelers Touchdown Under. Today I'm your host of Maddie's Away. So my name is Mark Davison, and I'm joined by two fellow Australians that might be on the circuit here in Australia very soon. We have Geoffrey Benedict up top, and down the bottom we have Tate. How's it going, fellas? What's going on?
What's up, Mark?
Doing good, Mark. Doing good.
Hey, so this is like I lost Maddie. Maddie's he's got some family stuff going on, so you know he's away for a little bit. I'm thinking, how am I going to do the show? I'm going to do it by myself. Do I try and find another Australian around the corner, go down the park, and throw the football around? Say, do you want to join the podcast? And I end up getting two Americans. So should I call it Steelers Touchdown Under, or should it be called something else, Jeff? What do you reckon?
Steelers, I don't know. It's international.
Yeah, well, you guys it's American podcast, it's American football. So I don't know, like I'm the only Australian here. Normally it's me and Maddie, so we'll see how everything goes. And we've got the live chat's going crazy already. We got Daredevil, Ryan, Wayne, Suchi. He might be a new face there. Tracy, George, Dave, KX, M, Scary, good vibe. So do you guys want to you know what I'm going to start with? So Maddie always puts me on the spot, and then I don't really have the answer for this. So what's the big news? And we'll start with you, Jeff, and we'll go to Tate after. What's the big news of the week, Jeff, do you think that happened?
The big news of the week? Since the previous game? Because obviously the Steelers beating the Bills was like the news. Like them actually winning. For me, the news of the week would be all the pundits, like everyone was like, no way the Steelers beat the Bills, right? And then everyone also thought the Ravens were going to beat the Raiders. The Raiders beat the Ravens, the Steelers beat the Bills, and now they're like, oh yeah, everyone's like on the Steelers. And I'm like, I think it's interesting. I think it's going to be a much closer game than people think, because I think the Raiders are a better team. Even with their injuries, I think they'll play well. But the story of the game a week for me is all the experts just absolutely from being down on the Steelers to jumping on board with one game. That's my story of the week.
Right, and for yourself, Tate, what's blown you out of the park, or what's really made news in your camp this week?
Well, I mean, I kind of agree with Geoffrey. That's the biggest news of the week, is just the shift with a lot of the pundits. Not all of them, but some of them. So I transition to say the biggest news of the week going into this game is all the Raiders' injury and being without Josh Jacobs. That's going to be a big factor, I think, in their game plan.
Well, you stole mine. That was mine. that was dead set.
You should have went first, Mark.
That was dead set mine. I was thinking, what happened this week? And because we do so many shows now, and one thing I find really funny is for us being on Steelers Touchdown Under, we're so close to the next game that we really can't celebrate the big win. So if I can have like one little thought on what happened versus the Bills, is sucked in everyone. You all went in the Bills camp. You went over there. You thought they were going to win. The Buffalo haven't won a Super Bowl out of 4 tries. They just kept getting replay tickets and never got another chance. It never happened. The Niagara Falls, I can hear it from here, and the Bills fans are still walking home. Like what? That was for me was one of the best wins like in a long time. Like maybe the Patriots win back in the 2017, but that to me, there was all off season, every single podcast everyone's done, and Tate on your show too, and everyone was counting out the Steelers fans, and we didn't show up in the first half, but I wasn't worried because there was no points. They didn't put points on. They only put on 10 points. They didn't put on 21 to 24 points. The Steelers came out, field goal, and then got the TD, the punt block, and here we are. We have a chance to win. And then, 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go, the Bills fans are walking home, going to their barbecue early. And they're a tough team. And I think people forget that. I know you blokes don't. But I think a lot of other fans forget that the Bills are a tough team. So, holy dooly. What was the? I'm fired up. I've been holding all this energy for the whole week, Jeff.
No, I love it, Mark. I love it.
What was the best? What was the key strength, Jeff? You would say for that Steelers victory?
for that Steelers victory, I've got to go. I'm going to go with the pass rush. Not just TJ Watt, but Cam Hayward, man. Josh Allen could not step into his throws. Josh Allen had people at his feet, people hitting into him. He was just always having to run out of the pocket, always moving around. He never really got, to stand in the pocket, step forward, take those big shots downfield, because when he can do that, he can kill you. But even when he scrambled out of the pocket, he couldn't scramble, reset, and throw. He was on the move and having to throw on the move. And I think we saw that with the Bills. They couldn't really get shots downfield. He couldn't hit them because he had that noise around, because he had that traffic. He wasn't able to really do his throws. And that was big for me. I think that was huge in the game.
And for yourself, Tate, who was the standout or the key strength for that Steelers victory that 1-0?
I'm going to. I of course, once again, I agree with what Geoffrey said, but I'm going to give it to Mike Tomlin, man. I mean, he had the team ready. I think people not Steeler fans take for granted, but people don't give enough credence to Tomlin as a coach and Ben as a leader. I mean, that was a tough game. That first half we were trash, and they persevered, they stuck to it. They just came in the second half, put on their hard hat, brought their lunch pail, and went to work, and just kept working and kept working and kept working until we finally cracked the rock and got a W.
You know what though? I agree with you a little bit. They might have been trash, but would you not also agree that the Bills had to put up more points? Like 10-0 is not game ball. There is no way. I didn't feel too worried in that game. Maybe if they scored 17-0, but we didn't play well. But it's the first week. I wasn't like some of those fans that they run to the internet and type fire Tomlin. I'm not that crowd.
Right.
So they're all worried, but.
And I agree with you. Maybe trash was a strong word, but trash was associated with only the offense.
And special teams.
Yeah,
early were just both.
Yeah, because
we let that big return. We shanked a punt.
The opening kickoff, they gave up that return. Yeah, and big press did shank a punt. I mean, all those things played a factor. I mean, they did really good. And Sutton had great coverage on that touchdown pass to put them up 10-0. I thought we were going to go in the half down 6-0. But, so like I said, just to stick to it in this is where I'm at with them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And imagine if that kickoff return went back for a touchdown. Would we just all rip up our Steeler fan cards and say, well, the season's over? It would feel very different. But that defense played really well to shut them out and to be 3-0. So, if they come back in the second half and they score a touchdown 17-0, it's a different game. But I think exactly right, Tate. They stuck in there and they kept going, and I couldn't be more proud. This is one of the best victories I've seen in a very long time, and hopefully it continues into the 2-0. But we have a super chat from Dave. Just a shout out. He says $5 here. So great group. I believe that's us. The terrific trio right now. That was a joke. Not sure what that means. Love the insight. Cool. That's kind of hard to relate to because that could have been about 5 minutes ago. But other than that, let's go into Jeff. What do you think? We talk about their strengths, but you got to go the other side too. What was their biggest weakness in the Steelers team in general?
Biggest weakness? I'm gonna go Ben Roethlisberger. And the reason I'm going Ben Roethlisberger isn't because Ben was necessarily terrible, but everyone played so well, right? Yeah. So much of the team was playing really well. Buffalo was loading the box, daring us to run. They have, and people talk about that, but they also have really great man cover corners. They can press man and still cover you deep. So Buffalo trusts their cornerbacks to do that. What stood out to me as the biggest weakness in the Steelers until the end of the game was Ben Roethlisberger unable to hit Najee Harris. Like Harris is open and you're just missing those throws. And he also had one where he led Claypool like way too far, and Claypool's like diving, and he could have just put it on him. Like Claypool was open enough. So to me, Ben Roethlisberger, especially early, that was the big weakness to the game. And other than that, man, I don't have many. The offensive line, I think they did well for their age. I know the running game didn't go great, but I'm gonna go with Ben missing some key easy throws being a big weakness for the Steelers in that game.
And just before we get your thoughts, Tate, do you agree what Jeff is saying there with maybe Ben being the biggest weakness, or do you have something different?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it a weakness. I'd say he was just rusty. I mean, what was he? He threw 10 times under game situations in the preseason. He was like 8-10 against Detroit, right?
Yep.
And so, coming in, I think all that'll clean itself up as we move along this first month of the season. Some of those throws he missed last week, he won't miss this week.
Right. Okay. Yeah, for me the biggest weakness, and I don't know if it's really a weakness or they just didn't get exploited that way, but I find that the middle linebacking group, maybe from what I saw, and I watched it both times, didn't really stand out too much. You didn't see big plays from Bush or Schobert. But I do have a lot of praise for what they did in the secondary and the cornerbacks, and that was really, I think, where the game was won too. So if they have any weakness, I would say there. But this game to me was so strong. I agree with you, Jeff. I don't think there is too much of a weakness, and you've got to, when they do great things, you've got to applaud them for that. This was a good, 4.5 out of 5 game. This is a gold star kind of moment. So moving forward, though, from this game, Jeff, and you've done a lot of film work, and you do it with from the cutting room floor as well. What's the big opportunity going forward? Where is something that, you mentioned with Ben there that they missed Najee? Is that the biggest opportunity going forward?
I think we're going to see, especially if teams are going to keep putting numbers in the box, and like the Bills did, where they were right up. I mean, there were plays where there were 10 guys within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. You have to be able to beat that. And I think what we're going to see is a little bit more of the quick play action, like the pistol formation where Ben doesn't really have to turn around, or out of shotgun, some RPOs where we can get tight ends involved, where we can get Chase Claypool on a slant, where we can get some people in some short, quick passes. Ben obviously wasn't good on those in week 1, but if we can get those going, I think that is where we are set up to really excel right now with how teams are defending the Steelers. Like they're defending them like it's last season. Well, we can do better than that. Remember how many drop passes Ebron and Deontay Johnson had, where they had catches and they just dropped them. Like those are all going to be available. If Ben can hit them, Pat Freiermuth, Claypool, let's get that going. When we have Najee Harris slip out of the backfield, freaking hit him, and let's get some cheap yards that way. I think that's where we missed out, is we didn't get any of the cheap yards.
I'll tell you what's fun about this chair being in the leading spot. I can change it up anytime I want. Jeff, what is the opportunity going forward for the defense?
For the defense, man, I don't know. I don't know what didn't they already do? Like that's the opportunity. You know what I'll say? I want to see what they continue to do with Minkah Fitzpatrick, because last year it was Terrell Edmonds who was moving in to difficult situations to solve problems. Like when they had a matchup mismatch, when they had some kind of problem, it was Terrell Edmonds solving it. That game, when they were having trouble with Cole Beasley, when they were having trouble with Stephon Diggs, they were moving Minkah Fitzpatrick to that spot, and they were keeping Terrell Edmonds deep. So I'm very interested to see if they continue that with Minkah, where Minkah becomes kind of that problem solver position, or if they kind of divert back, and that was a 1 week thing where they really saw, hey, this is something we can attack facing the Bills. That's what I'll say. I'm looking forward to going forward.
From what I saw with Minkah, he was a missile. Yeah. He was all over that ball. There was a few plays there where he ran right down into the box. The running back was there. He covered him. I believe he almost got a pick where he was really close around the area. Minkah was, free roaming, and you look back on some of the film too, and he can almost predict where that ball is going to go or where the play is going before it's even started. So it gives me, it's not Troy vibes, but it gives me a little bit of a Troy insight, and how, like for me, like the safety position is my favorite position. I just love the idea that you can scan the whole field. And if you've got, 10 blokes on other guys, and you have one, or, wherever you want to be matched up with, if you can figure out that quarterback where he's going to throw, there's not a better feeling than picking off a quarterback when that quarterback thinks I have a touchdown home run, let's, go all the way to the end zone. So Minkah really showed up for us, I reckon. And it's going to be fun to see where they throw him around, if it's slot, if it's cornerback, if it's, safety. And he's got that speed too where, he's 5-10 yards away, but he can cover you. Like he's that veteran guy is really growing into, a really excellent player. Tate, the same question, but you can choose anyone on the team.
Well, on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, I think if teams are going to keep playing 8-9 in the box, I think whether it's hit or miss, we got to take shots. We have to be there to let them know, okay, Ben can and we will throw the ball down the field. So I think more shots, more 20-yard air passes at least in the offense. I'd like to see like Geoffrey said, Najee coming out the backfield, maybe on some wheel routes, hit him deep. I'd like to see that. As far as the defense, what I think I liked is I'm looking forward to seeing, whether it's this week or next week, I'm looking forward to seeing the insertion of Carl Joseph and Witherspoon into the defense. I like what Trey Norwood has been able to do, but I think if you add some more experienced veterans to that defense, we can do even more. I mean, maybe have Joseph back and Minka, bring Minka down and into the slot position, and just Witherspoon's athleticism, his length and height out there on the field also. I think it's just going to make us a better defense. So when those guys come back and Tuitt gets back, we're going to be loaded on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I love to hear that. Now, the last question in this little segment, Jeff, what's the big threat do you think that teams can exploit the Steelers, and something that we really need to work on? Otherwise, we are losing 30-0, or we are losing these games. What's something that we need to fix?
Well, we're still seeing, in my opinion, Joe Schobert acclimate to this defense. It took Devin Bush a while to get used to Vince Williams. It took him a while to get used to Mark Barron when he first came in. Last season, he only played with Vince Williams, and they were on the same page, and they were incredible together. So far early this season, they're not standing out. The linebackers, like you said, Devin Bush looks fast. He looks healthy. That's the good news. But they didn't seem on the same page. There seemed to be a lot of late communication between them, and there seemed to be even some hesitance, especially from Joe Schobert. It doesn't seem like Joe Schobert is entirely comfortable in this defense yet, which is a good thing for the future, right? That's a good thing for when these guys get together. This is going to be even better. But right now, heading forward in the next couple of weeks, I would look for teams to go after Joe Schobert and Devin Bush and really test those inside linebackers, especially with some motions and some difficult coverage assignments. Try when you catch them in zone, throw in 3 different routes coming through their zone and let them sort it out and make sure that they know, they're both on the same page. That's where I think you're going to see teams think they can attack the Steelers, and it's going to be interesting to see how those guys respond. And I think we could see it this week when you've got a Darren Waller and you've got Kenya Drake's going to play. You can really attack the linebackers with those guys.
Yeah, Darren Waller is he's an amazing human. He's an amazing football player. He's really fun to watch. So, and for us, we gotta shut him down. But Tate, anything that we can, anything that's a threat to the Steelers that can be exploited?
I think I don't disagree with Geoffrey. I think Schobert and Bush still have a lot to show us, but I think their lack of production, let's call it, in last week's game was more because of gameplay. I mean, Buffalo stretches you out 4 or 5 wide, so there wasn't a whole bunch of runs. We only blitzed 2 times, so they just weren't always in the action. They were kind of just playing their zone, whether we heard their name or not. I think they were a huge help in minimizing Stephon Diggs in that passing game just by playing their zones and being where they're supposed to be. I did see some of the miscommunication and stuff like that. I think just cohesion with the offensive line is something I say that we could be exploited on still, just because we have a young line, inexperienced relatively, going against a veteran line with the Raiders with Crosby and Nassib and those guys. So if those guys run some stunts and things like that, I think maybe that's a place we could be exploited at. But I still kind of like the way they played, and we're going to have to take our lumps. We're only going to get better with reps and in-game experience. So It's just part of the journey.
For me, the only thing I can see that the Steelers get exploited is if teams tell the cornerbacks to jump into Fryermuth's arms and let Fryermuth take him to the stands and get flags all day, because that block, like that's a look. If I was John Gruden, I don't know who the cornerback is. I don't care who it is. I say, mate, go cuddle him. He'll take you to the bleachers, and there's 15 yards. There's a personal foul. Like, did you see that? Did you see that block?
Yeah,
he nailed him into next week.
Push that dude straight into his teammates.
Oh, it was at least 10 yards out of bounds, and he took him all the way. Yeah. So, you got to think logical in this game. You got to think, like who can I exploit? And it's really jump in Fryermuth's arms, and he'll take you away like it's on your wedding day. All right. Okay. Anything else we want to add to the game, or do we want to move into the Ironheart Awards, which is our new segment?
Yeah, I'm good. Let's go.
Oh, well, you need to say something. I'm trying to get ready. Say something.
Ironheart it is.
Steelers. Go.
Here we go.
All right. So, okay, Maddie might do this better next week, but basically this year we're doing a thing called the Ironheart Awards. BTSC is going to all contribute to it. Me and Maddie will do, and I think we got about 8 or 9 in BTSC, so we have that form there. But basically, the awards it's like an MVP. Like in the hockey when they give out 3 stars per the game. So we're going to do that per every single game. We're going to give out 3 points, three being the best, 2 being the second best, and 1 being, just the 1 star. So, and then at the end of the season, whoever gets the most points will be the Ironheart MVP of mine and Maddie's thing. And also we have another award, like instead of these awards, called the Manly Award, the most courageous player, the player that knocked somebody out, that went up there and got the ball. Didn't need to be on the stat sheet, but it's just that the manliness that we need as a Steel football team. And then we'll go into Coach of the Week, and our last one, like Dunce of the Week. Who was the, maybe the worst player? So I want to start with, and Tate, you're new to this, but if you need help, we'll walk you through it, and I probably need help too. But Jeff, we'll start with you, mate. So who was your number 3? Who's the 3 points?
3 points. My 3-star player of the game.
Mm-hmm.
The captain, Cameron Hayward. The man dominated the middle of the line. You saw Josh Allen could not escape. The strip sack TJ Watt had, everyone saw it. TJ Watt's coming around the end. He's trying to step up. Cam Hayward took his opposite side hand, just reached over and was like, no, son. You ain't going nowhere. Josh Allen turns around to come back. TJ Watt's up behind him, swats that ball out. That's Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward was doing that all game. He is my number 1 player from that game. He gets my 3 stars. That's my dude, Cameron Hayward.
That's awesome. For yourself, Tate, who would be your 3 points, the best player on the field?
You mean after Cam?
You can choose anyone.
Because I agree with Geoffrey. I mean, Cam was the stud of the game. I mean, but if I was picking somebody different, next tier down, I'd probably go TJ. I go TJ, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, so TJ 3 points. We can all be the same. It doesn't, we're all Steel fans. You can be Cam. If there was, the possibility of giving Cam 7 points, you probably would this game.
Right.
But he gets 3 points. My 3 points. We're actually going to Maddie's first. Maddie's away. I'll give him a shout out. Maddie's was Cam as well. But you said it, Jeff. Cam was amazing. My 3 points this week was Deontay Johnson. Just for the pure fact that touchdown catch was amazing. So I had to give him. He scored points for the team, legit. and that's part of how they won.
And he did that coming back to the scene of the crime where he played his worst game last year.
Yep.
Where he actually got yanked and had to sit out.
Yeah, so he was terrible in Buffalo last year.
To come back and be such a huge factor in Buffalo. That's a good point, yeah.
And he just, even on the screens, the screens look different this year compared to a few years ago when we used to go backwards on 3 or 4 yards. He seemed very competitive, and he could go some other receivers too, but I like that catch. It gives you 6 points. It gives you 7 points. It's a big milestone in the game. So he's my 3. Moving into the number 2, Geoffrey, who's my
number 2 was Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah.
He was there for the tough plays. He was there all game, man. It's crazy to me, but there are certain points of the game where you're like, okay, you can almost start to sense it now, where it's like Ben's going to start going to Juju, and all of a sudden the offense starts working. Like, he's just that. Juju Smith-Schuster's that dude. He's not flashy. He's not the fastest. He's not he's on TikTok, I guess. Maybe that's his flashiness. But when we go to him, the offense just works. So I'm making him my number 2 guy. Number 2 guy, Juju Smith-Schuster, for staying with it and just being that dude when the offense needed something to get going. He's always there.
Yeah, I like that. What about yours, Tate? It can be Juju or it can be anyone else. For 2 points, who was the second best player?
I just piggyback and say that Juju is this generation's version of Hines Ward. He's just that physical third down present. He's willing to, to lay a block on somebody, and he's just that guy on the football field. Maybe some of the things off the field we could do without, but he's that guy on the field. But my number 2, I'm going to give it to Trey Norwood. I really like the way the kid performed. We all went into the game not having expectations of him because we didn't know he was going to play. So I think he came in for a first-time starter and really was a huge factor on the defense. And he came and he was, I think a lot of the knock on him during the preseason, he was real smart, good in coverage, but he wasn't physical. He was coming up to stop the runs and the receiver screens and things like that. So he even added physicality to his game this week. So my number 2 goes to Trey Norwood.
I do like that. Any thoughts on that, just quickly, Jeff, the Trey Norwood, number 2 points?
I'm going to save those thoughts.
All right. Jeez Louise. I agree with you. Look, this is a great segment. We're talking about so many players. My 2 points is for TJ Watt. He's just outstanding, wasn't he? Just to see him rush the quarterback. And everyone talks about TJ, but the one thing I want to bring in this conversation, I just love how when TJ tackles, he feels like he's really far away, and the next minute he's got his hands over him, and even when he dives at him, he still puts his hands out like it's all over. He's all over the quarterback. So my 2 points goes to TJ Watt, and we'll move into our number 1 point.
You're just straight up hating quarterbacks, aren't you, Marky?
I love the defense. If we couldn't play offense, I wouldn't even care. Just put the defense out there every time and see what happens. Just score points off that. Who should love it? Actually, there was even times when when the Big Ben and Brown and all the receivers, you always knew they were going to score. So I didn't really watch. You just like, oh wow, they're just going to score 7. And I was always more keen to watch Troy and James Harrison off the edge and take someone's soul away, like Ike says. But who's your number 1 point? I got a feeling I know it is. It could be the same as mine.
Mine is Trey Norwood. That's why I saved my points. Trey Norwood, the dude, 7th round pick rookie. His first NFL game, he's starting. He's playing 80% of the snaps. He's playing free safety. He's playing cornerback. He did some dime craziness. He's all over the place, and all he did was play good. Now, given he's only my number 1 star because they did have to give him help. Which come on, dude, everyone needs help. Cam Sutton got help. They help Joe Hayden from time to time. But Trey Norwood, man, what a first game in the NFL. What a crazy, crazy day to have that. That was awesome. Love that kid.
What about your 1 point there, Tate?
My 1 point, and I think it speaks to just the draft we had this year, because I'm going to go to another rookie, and I'm going to go to Najee Harris. It's not it wasn't the productions. It wasn't the production, not the numbers in the production, but it's just him being part of the process. Being out there on the field, he played 100% of the snaps, 16 rushes. He had all the rushing carries outside of the jet sweep to Claypool, and he's just a factor into a defense has to focus on him, has to key on him, so he opens up other things for other people. And I actually anticipate a bigger game for him this week, because just they'll be at home, so it won't be as raucous a crowd when the offense is on the field. They'll get to communicate better. I think things will just be cleaner this week, and we'll have a bigger game. But Najee Harris gets my number 1 point.
Yeah, right.
Solid in blocking too. He was a good blocker that game.
We're getting so fired up. I forgot about Matty's second point. So Matty's second point was Miles Killebrew. Fantastic. That another guy that blocked the punt and it caused points. So you have to give that guy appreciation for that. Maddie's number 1 point was to DJ again. Fantastic player, and we went through him before. Scored the touchdown. So, and finally, I agree with you, Jeff. This is the guy when I was trying to work out these points the last few days, who was first, second, and third. Trey Norwood, people talk about Cameron Sutton, but Trey Norwood for me is my number 1 point, and he deserves it. He could almost really push for 2. He watching the start of the game, he the way he tackled, and he was so fired up, and I think he was mentally ready for this game. Would you agree, Jeff, that he come out and he had his X's and O's all crossed over?
Oh yeah, he was mental. He was in the right spots. He was doing the right things. There was a few plays you'd like to see him be a little quicker, and I think that'll come. But for him to be where he is now, that's an incredible amount of growth just over the course of the offseason. But also, it's a great job by the Steelers. I pointed this out when they drafted Trey Norwood, that they drafted a guy who played, who his role in the defense in college was stuff we already do, right? So I had him pegged as a dime player because that's what he was already doing. What we did with Cameron Sutton last year is largely what Trey Norwood did in college. For him to make the growth to nickel, to be the nickelback, that is impressive to me. And I expected him to really struggle, and he did not at all. So that's what's impressive to me is he took what he'd already learned, but then he added positions to that. That's phenomenal for a rookie.
He essentially was that Swiss Army knife like Tomlin coined him at Oklahoma, just like Cam Sutton was at Tennessee when he was in college. And I think when you look at our rookies, I think, although they're rookies, they're all from kind of like big programs. And so the lights weren't too bright. You got, Trey Norwood playing in the Big 12. Oklahoma, he's been to the college football playoffs a time or two. You got Najee Harris. We know he goes they win every year at Alabama. Pat Fryermuth. I mean, just all these guys are from big time programs, and they're coming in playing a big time role in game 1, year 1 for the Steelers.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's our Ironheart Awards, and we give it that points there. So every week we're going to give a total. Now, we'll try and get you involved in this too, Tate, as well in the next week on the spreadsheet and stuff like that. However, as a collective BTSC group here, we've given third place goes to Miles Killebrew and Deontay with 5 points. Would you gentlemen agree with that?
That's solid.
Yep. Okay. Second place goes to TJ Watt with 8 points as a collective. And our number 1, who do you think our number 1 is this week? With 12 points.
It's Cam
Hayward, yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't vote for him, as a collective and over, I think about 10 staff are doing this at the moment. He has 12 points, so he's in the running. And I think even me and Maddie want to try and put something together at the end of the year. And whoever does win, we're going to find out their PO box and send him an Aussie boomerang or something. We're going to send him. We'll send them a jersey. I don't know what they need. Maybe they need a tea towel with the Sydney Harbour Bridge on it, something like that. Surely they haven't got that, so we're going to send them with that. But with that being said, I think we're going to end the first half, as I do my notes here, like I'm at the office or something like that. That was a great first half. We're going to push into the second half, guys. Stick around. If you're on Spotify or all the audio platforms, download part 1 and then go into part 2 next, because we're going to go into the Manly Award, which we're going to give out, the Coach of the Week, Dunce of the Week, and also Slinging the Slang. So stick around. Just hang tight for like 5 seconds. And welcome back to Behind the Steel Curtain. My name is Mark Davison. This is Steelers Touchdown Under. Geoffrey's joined me here along with Tate. Do you fellas want to have a go at saying that, or are you just happy, just chilling out?
I don't think I can do that, man.
Yeah, I'm just chilling out, man.
Fair enough. You just like this guy's on the beers. He's on the beers at 9 o'clock. What is happening down in Australia? That's always fun to say. We put it on. I actually don't even sound like this. I can sound completely different when I go off air. But hey, that was a good first half. We went through all the points. We have Cam on 12 points, so he's leading the stakes there, and he's going to get a tea towel from us with the Ayers Rock on it, which would be great. I'm sure he'll love that if he ends up winning, and that might even I think he was it this week that Cam came out and said I'm the best D line, and the other guys in front of him They think they're the best. So it's even more motivation from the guys that behind the steel curtain that, hey, if you're leading the comp with 12 points and there's a tea towel on the line, you got to wash your dishes somehow. All right, let's go into the Manly Award. And Jeff, who would be to me, the Manly Award is not someone who knocks someone over or just like a courageous effort. Who was that player in this game?
For my Manly Award, I'm going to go with the little guy who was put in a tough spot, Ray McLeod, for his effort facing off against a defensive end. It was just supposed to be a down block. All he has to do is slow him down. Dan Moore Jr. doesn't get around quick enough, right? Najee ends up, that's the play. Najee pushes Dan Moore Jr. Get out there and then follows him and gains yards. Ray McLeod, the whole play slows down, and Ray McLeod is blocking a 265-pound defensive end. 6'4", 265. Ray McLeod is 5'9", 190. And he blocks him for a solid 2 seconds. And Najee Harris turns what should have been a 2-yard loss. Anytime a defensive end gets you like that, that should be a 2-yard loss. Instead, Najee gains 4 yards on that play. That was Ray McLeod in a great moment. He took two. The dude actually tried to get off him, tried to ragdoll him at first, and then when he goes to turn off to chase Najee, throws a punch straight into Ray's chest and is trying to get Ray, and Ray is just nah, man, you're not getting through. You're not getting through me. So Ray McLeod for that play gets my Manly Award.
Love it. And it's only the one play that he gets that for.
Yeah, I don't even care. You don't. Yeah. He doesn't need anything else.
What about yours, Tate? Who's the bloke that really put it to him?
It's funny. Geoffrey said Ray. I told you guys I was at a Zoom wedding before we came on. Actually, my nephew is Henry McLeod. He's Ray's first cousin. So I was at his Zoom wedding. He got married today. Yeah. I give my Manly Award to, I think, between the two, but I'm gonna say Melvin Ingram.
Good choice.
I just think his outside of Cam, his power, his bull rush, his presence, dude's a beast. Mm-hmm. He comes to play a physical brand of football, and I think he's healthy this year as he has been healthy in a couple of years. And I think we'll see his impact over the course of the season. I really like what he's shown in training camp and preseason, what he showed in that first game.
I like how he's so direct with the media. He's just
that's who he is.
They ask him a massive question that has about 25,000 words, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go get him. I'm gonna go do it. What do you mean? I'm here to win." Right. They'll ask him about do you remember being the Chargers versus Raiders? Is that a great rivalry? Yeah. So I don't care who's there. I love his direct answer. For me, it's and I've been bagging him out all off season, and I have a problem with his social media. But now I've turned off his social media, so it's great for me. I just see him on the me and Juju are good friends now. It's a clear slate. But hey, I give Juju the Manly Award this week for 2 reasons. One, he got nailed on that pass going out, and when it would look like a fumble or like a drop pass there, but he got absolutely creamed up. He got taken out, and he just stood up and went, let's go. That's the Steeler mentality. So that to me refreshes everything I said about him. I do like him as a player. As a person, he's probably a good dude too. I just get a little bit annoyed watching the social media, but that's my problem. But he got nailed out, and that's such a good effort. And he kickoff return, special teams, he caught the ball on the onside kick. And that's a hard task as well. Running into that line with all the big guys up front and going for the football, and he's coming 10 yards back, and that was his key role to go and pick that ball up. So he sealed the game. That to me, you guys got thoughts on that last play?
Yeah, he's just diving head first for that thing too. Yeah. Man. He just does. Juju's that dude. He's going to make the play and take care of himself later. That's second. That's you got to respect that.
Right. And on that play, everyone else is blocking, and that was, I guess, it was his idea to get it. But if he doesn't get that football, I guess people just looking at the ball like they did, in the Browns game with Big Ben and Connor just looked at it. So he went above and beyond to go and jump on that ball. And look, he's a big dude. He's put on some weight. He can see him when he runs over people. And these athletes are just freaks. For me this week, he's got the award there. Now, as a collective, the consensus was from BTSC was TJ Watt got the Manly award. Thoughts on that, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't fault his game coming, like what he did coming up there. He came in like he was a freak. Like, that's what he is. That's what he does, man. He just goes in there and beats the snot out of people and go get your quarterback.
And Brian Brown comes in here, and sorry guys, I'm trying to do the live chat and talk at the same time, but I can bear with you, breathe and talk. Okay, Mark Davison, now that Juju and you were friends, are you going to dye your hair pink? It's a solid no, but I appreciate the comment.
You going to do the milk crate challenge though?
No, I'd probably do it without filming. I've done some really stupid things. We used to jump off our house into the pool, and then when that wasn't enough, we used to jump off the neighbor's house into our pool. And that was really far away. But we didn't film it. We just did it for kicks. That was fun. Let's move into the coach of the week. Jeff, who was your outstanding coach?
I'm going to go with Keith Butler. The Steelers didn't blitz. They did a lot of 4-man rushes, but he got creative with them. There were some creative rushes in there, ones that would make, good old Dick LeBeau proud for his zone blitzes. He ran some real old school zone blitzes people could remember from the 90s when you had defensive ends dropping. Not nothing as crazy as dropping Joel Steed into coverage, but like they did in the 90s a few times. But they were doing some crazy stuff, and it worked. Josh Allen was like, the cornerback's blitzing, so I've got to go over here. Nope, like they shifted all the linebackers that way. So clearly this side, nope. And he's like, the one where he threw the ball away, and it's like he threw the ball on the ground in between 4 players. That was just a crazy zone blitz that Keith Butler drew up that was just like they executed the blitz, and Josh Allen had no idea what to do with it. He had no idea what to do on that play. He just threw the ball away because the scheme beat him. So that to me, I'm going with Keith Butler. I know he's gotten a lot of flack in the past, but man, his pass rushing, he's the best pass rush coordinator the NFL maybe has ever seen.
And what about yourself, Tate? Who's the coach of the week? Who stood out?
Well, if Keith Butler gets credit for the schemes and the defensive scheme, I'm gonna go Terrell Austin. He had those that secondary group ready to be moved around and play different positions and as chess pieces and stuff like that allowed Butler to run the scheme that he ran. So it's a collective effort. So I just think Terrell Austin he's coached those guys up. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, coming out of training camp, we were thinking like, man, we got to get another corner. And we did make the trade for Witherspoon, but he hasn't played yet. So we're basically using what we have. And, you have to give a lot of credit to Terrell Austin for having those guys ready to play.
Absolutely. Getting Trey Norwood, like we were talking Trey Norwood, how incredible is it that he's doing that? That's his coach.
Right.
Terrell Austin's the guy who's figuring out how to use him. Yeah, all the coverage scheme, man, dude. The job Keith Butler, Terrell Austin, and Mike, I'll give Mike Tomlin in there too, because he's in that room talking to those guys. The scheme they came up with, I think it was Chris Sims did a video on it showing how where they would put people and how they would drop and how they were basically answering every single route combination the Bills threw at them.
And to think it's only going to get more complex because that was week 1. I mean, there's things that they will be doing and haven't done yet that, it's going to be great. I'm like you, Mark, it's going to be great just watching this defense, going forward.
Just amazing. And I guess we can move on because my bloke too, my coach of the week was Terrell Austin. Look, the best thing that I found with what Terrell Austin did and with this cornerback group, I think, in my opinion, I think the cornerbacks won this game, and the secondary won this game. You have Joe Hayden in there, played really good. Sutton on that 4th down. You had Pierre come across that middle and took away that what's going to that reception there.
And that play was great because he dropped off his zone to come over and rake that ball away.
Yeah, I think all these fellas they just really had the mentality to be better than their opponent. And their opponent was pretty good with their receiving core. So I gave it the props to Austin and then those cornerbacks there. Now, this is and actually the overall from the consensus of the BTSC here, we actually had 4. We had 4 coaches, and that's probably why we got a win. We have Matt Canada, Mike Tomlin, Keith Butler, and Terrell Austin all tied about 2. So that just shows you how we won this week when we versed the Bills. Now this one's the harder part, I guess, and pronounce popular dunce of the week. Who would be the least impressive maybe player on this team, Jeff?
Well, this was a tough one because normally there is one player that you can sit there and look at and be like, oh my gosh, what was that guy doing? Like if this was last year in Buffalo, Deontay Johnson would be an easy choice. But this wasn't last year in Buffalo. This year, I'm going to go with Chukwuma Okorafor, largely because on an offensive line with 2 rookies, I think he was the weakest offensive lineman. And it wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't that bad. We've seen worse offensive line play last year even. He wasn't that bad. He was the weakest link on the offensive line in my viewing. I'm going with him. This isn't there's not a real obvious choice this week at all for the Dunce of the week.
And for yourself, Tate, who's the least impressive player on the team?
Hey, Mark. Next time, man, you got to mix up who goes first sometimes, man, because Geoffrey keeps taking all my guys, man.
You can go with it. That's fine. You can go.
And like he said, it really wasn't a lot to choose from with this particular category. But since he took Chooks and Big Press shanked the punt, I'm gonna say Presley Harvin, just for that shank of a punt.
Okay, well, I got one, and we are this is meant to be a preview game about the Raiders, and we've talked nothing about it, so I apologize about that. But we're still on these awards, and we're going to run through these really quickly. Mine was Gentry. Really hard for me to choose anyone, but he went backwards 2 yards, so he gets Dunce of the week. If you're in that locker room, everyone should shout at him and say, "Do better." No, don't do that. That's called hazing. Don't do that. Okay, we'll change it up then. For this is the last question. We'll wrap it up. The most popular Dunce of the week was Bugs. Tate, why would it be Bugs? Why would he be the most popular, do you think? Isaiah Bugs. He was the one that didn't show up in this game from the BTSC collective.
I'm not sure why. I mean, I don't think he had a good game. I felt like he was solid. Him and Carlos Davis were a huge part of the rotation and allowed Cam and Alua and Wormley to get rested to put that pressure on Buffalo's offensive line and rush with 4. I mean, the whole rotation and the limited amount of reps or the less reps allowed the starters to really get in there and get after it. So I don't know why Bugs would be the Dunce of the week.
The only reason he would be the least most impactful player is because he got 2 votes out of the 10 votes. Now that's not an outstanding victory. However, in my notes here, and everyone can blame Matty P because he writes me all these notes. I got a script to follow, like I'm a movie director, and apparently he was it. And I don't really remember him doing too much or getting in trouble or not really costing us a game. Yeah. But we'll end on that, and let's go into we'll go into slinging the slang a little bit, and then we'll do a little bit of a preview for the game. But I wanted to do slinging the slang this week. I'm going to name 3 things. I just want to get your idea, and we'll start with you first, Tate. Do you guys have? I'll ask you the same question. Do you guys have in America? Do you guys put like chicken? Do you know what chicken salt is? Do you put that on your chips or your fries?
Chicken salt?
Is that like a bouillon? Like it's kind of like chicken flavored salt? Like it's got chicken fat in the salt?
That's the best answer because I didn't think anyone would know about this. Chicken salt? it's like chicken flavoring. So we don't know what is actually in it, and we don't know if it tastes like chicken, but it's chicken salt and it tastes great. Have you heard of that, Tate?
I haven't heard of it, but I don't cook with salt in my house just because health reasons and stuff like that. I just use garlic powder, black pepper, oregano, that kind of stuff. No salt.
This is just like we put this on our fish and chips, and we ask for chicken salt, and it's really nothing to do with chicken.
Is it like a seasoning salt?
Like a seasoning.
It seems like it might be something. Salt. I'm down here in Maryland. They love seafood here. It's like Obey seasoning. It's stuff that you just have to put on crab legs and crabs and all that stuff like that. So maybe it's something cousin to.
It's not real salt. It's not. It's salt, but it's not like the original kind of flavor. It's yellow. It probably looks bad for you. It tastes bloody awesome. But yeah. So Jeff, you have heard of that before?
That's probably poultry seasoning. That's probably just what that is, man.
Yeah, he said it's yellow. Probably.
It would work, man. If it's yellow, that's what it is, man. That's some
chicken salt. We put that on everything, on our chips, on our burgers, everything.
Yeah, I believe if I'm right, they make that by like cooking down similar to how you make broth, but then you like dry it into the salt.
I have no idea. I just know it tastes really good and it's free when you get them on fish and chips.
Because it's meat fat.
All right.
That's what you're talking about.
Our second slinging the slang, and we'll start with Geoffrey first because I have to do this justice. I want to know, Geoffrey, have you ever heard of this beverage? Alcoholic or non-alcoholic. It's called lemon, lime, and bitters. Have you ever heard of that?
Lemon, lime, and bitters. That's going to be alcoholic, and it's going to be probably a tonic water, a lemon tonic water. It can
go with tonic water. It can go with like lemonade. But do you guys have that in America, or have you?
No, I don't think we do. Is it like a bitters? Is it a alcoholic?
It's brilliant. Tate, have you heard of that? Lemon, lime, and bitters.
Hey, Mark, I haven't heard of it. If I come down to the land down under, I know to ask for a Foster's beer.
No,
that's what I'm going to have.
Oh,
but no, I haven't heard of it.
They'll look at you funny. Foster's beer. We don't serve that down here. No. So another thing I knew you got.
That's not a real Australian beer.
No, the only time I have seen a Foster's beer is in Pittsburgh, and that's 100% true. When I was up in Mount Washington, I went into a pub up there, and a bottle, and I saw the big liter beer, and I'm like, Foster's. I'm like, I've never seen it anywhere else. Actually, never seen one.
They've been selling that stuff for 30 years, claiming it's Australian beer.
Yeah, they've got your hook, line, and sinker right there, haven't they?
So, Marky, what's the main beer in Australia? What's your main beer in Australia?
We have like Two is New, like 4X, Victoria Bitter. What's another one that we have? Like extra dry, super dry, things like that. We have like really clean, crisp beers because I don't mess around with the craft beer where it tastes like oranges or it's like it's got passion fruit or those kind of things. I just go with the beer that tastes nice. It's fresh, stuff like that. But that's why I wanted to bring it up because when I went over the States, I think I can't remember. I think I was in Canada. It's pretty close to the States. I asked for a lemon lime bitters and they looked at me funny. And the two ladies said, "What's that?" I said, "Well, if you go grab these 3 ingredients and put them all together, put a lime into it." I didn't try and tell them what to do, but it was amazing. And then you add vodka to it, and they loved it. Like it's a really relaxing So
it's just lemon lime vodka.
Yeah, lemon. Yeah, but it's like got bitters in it too.
Okay.
it's really refreshing.
Lemon lime, bitters, and vodka.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
I'll do that. I'll mess with that.
Yeah, sounds good.
And you can have like non-alcoholic. The bitters don't do anything to you. Bitters are like 0. whatever. It's nothing. But when the ladies at the bar said, "I've never heard of that," and it was a really hot day. It was like 40 degrees, so like 120 in your land. And when I had it, it's amazing, and they loved it. So, and they told me they were going to put it on the menu. I don't know if they'll just pull on my leg, but they said they were going to put it on the menu. So when I go back, it better be there. But I'm going to leave. I have to cut to this one to Jeff first. If that's okay, Tate. This one's really funny. Jeff, this is my last one for Slinging the Slang. Have you heard of the game called Goon or Fortune?
Goon or Fortune?
I'll write it in Goon or Fortune.
I have not heard of it.
Like the Wheel of Fortune. Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's like you've got whammies. It's almost like the old
pressure luck.
Big money, no whammies.
I have no idea what that means.
That show is called Pressure Luck.
Oh, okay. So
what do you think? But if you got the whammy, you lost everything.
Yeah.
So what's this? What was it again? Goon or Fortune?
Goon or Fortune.
Goon or Fortune. Do you have any idea what that might be, Tate?
Using my context clues, I'm going to guess is kind of similar to something, the Australian version of Wheel of Fortune.
Yes, but with drinks involved in a barbecue. So we have the Australia.
Sounds like fun.
If you guys come over, we'll play. I haven't got a heels hoist where you put it's like a clothesline where you have like the middle one and it like spins around like that. So I haven't got one in my backyard, but Goon or Fortune is a clothesline, and this is where it gets really fun. You stand around in a circle, and you put the Goon bag, which is the wine bag, which costs about $4. Okay, it's got about 4 liters in it, and you strap it to the end of one of the prongs off the heels hoist. Okay, and you spin that sucker right around in a circle, and whoever it lands closest to has to drink the Goon. Did you expect that at all?
No, not at all. Not what I was expecting.
The entire
that
4
sounds
liters?
like Australia, though.
Depends. You might get a second bag. Depends how far you want to go.
Okay. Well, yeah, I didn't expect that.
No, so it's the Hills hoist. We'll set audio, guys. It's the Hills hoist. It's like tetherball. It's the Hills hoist.
Yeah.
The wine bag on the very edge. You tape it up. You get a bit of duct tape. Put it on there. You get about 20 friends. You know, get your grandmother involved. Get everyone involved. Who cares? not the kids though. Not the kids. And then when you spin it, whoever it's closest to, it goes all the way around. And you know, you make sure you loosen the bolts a little bit, and you spin it all the way around. Whoever gets it has to drop down to a knee, or they just drink it above the clothesline.
And it's called the Goon of Fortune. When we get off here, I'm gonna look for that on YouTube. See if I can see what it looks like.
It's pretty funny.
Interesting.
It is very. I played it a few times and no one really wins. No one really wins because sometimes there are characters in the crowd that will stop it on you, and then you're like, oh, you can't interfere, but then you got to play by the rules, and then the ref doesn't throw a flag, so you're sitting there and you got the Goon above your head, and the best thing too is once you're finished with the bag, the Goon bag we call it here, you can blow that back up and use it as a pillow too when you fall asleep. All right, do you guys want to talk about the game or?
Football, what?
All right, we've got a few minutes left. That was the slinging the slang, and we've gone way over time. We've got about 10 minutes left, but let's talk about the game, hey? What's going to happen in Jeff? What's going to happen with the Raiders and you know, two players or one player standing out for the Raiders this week? Oh, sorry, for the Steelers who got to stand out.
For the Steelers, I'm looking for Najee Harris in the passing game. Najee in the passing game, I think, is going to stand out. My other one is either Ebron or Freiermuth. It's the tight ends. I think we got to attack them inside. I like the Raiders, what they're doing at cornerback. And if we can back those safeties up and get our tight ends and our running back in on those linebackers, I think that's where the Steelers have a chance to really, really go after the Raiders.
And for yourself, Tate, who's that one player? Yeah, it's coming in. It's tomorrow, really, isn't it? It's tomorrow. Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Who's the player that stands out at home? It's a big game at home.
I'm also looking for Najee to step up. I'm thinking 85 yards rushing, maybe 3 or 4 receptions, 100 total yards at least. So I think he'll have a big game. On the other side of the ball, I'm looking for us to double our sack output. We had 2 sacks last week. I think Derek Carr will be more of an in the pocket quarterback. He has slight mobility, but he's not going to run like Josh Allen. So I think once we get home, he'll be there more often than Josh Allen was. Therefore, because of that, I think we'll accumulate more sacks this week. 4 sacks.
I agree with you there too. I think Derek Carr is not as mobile as Josh Allen, or not a better quarterback. So Derek Carr has some problems in his hands, and then I'll get to you in a second, Jeff. But I agree with Najee. Najee's my guy too. I can't wait to see Najee in the black and gold, even though they wore it last week. But they're at home, 65,000 fans. It's about time we have a run for 40 yards, or we get some really big gains on in the running game. And I want to see him score a touchdown or 2. What do you reckon, Jeff?
I was going to say he's talking about Derek Carr in the pocket. If you watch that Ravens game, one thing that really stood out to me is the Ravens were getting pressure off the edge, right? Because the Raiders are having trouble with their tackles. But what was happening is Derek Carr was able to step up into the pocket. And when he's able to step up in the pocket, he is deadly throwing downfield. If he has that time, if he has a clean pocket, he can step up, boom, downfield. And that's where the Raiders really turned it on the Ravens and beat them. They won that game because he was able to step up in that pocket. So I am absolutely on with Tate. That interior pass rush is going to be huge because if they're in on, Derek Carr, he's not throwing downfield, and instead you're turning, big plays into sacks.
That's it. And also the Ravens had about only 40 players on their roster, which doesn't really help. They're losing, it's not good to say, you don't cheer for that, but it's really difficult now for the Ravens to get back at it. Before I go into the second player from the Raiders, here's a question, and I'll sing it to you, Tate. Now I asked this question yesterday in Tony's show. Would you prefer, Tate, the Steelers being 2-0 or the Ravens being 0-2?
I mean, I just want to stack W, so I want us to be 2-0.
Fair enough.
You know.
What about yourself, Jeff? What do you reckon? 2-0 or 0-2?
I'm with Kevin. You know what? Whatever the Ravens do, we don't care. They don't matter. Like, really, they are the nameless gray faces that just happen to be in our division. I don't care about the Ravens. Like, if they're good, if they're not, whatever. I just want to beat them. As long as, Steelers go out there, win, beat the teams we have to face, control what we can control. Let's go do this.
If I had the choice and it was life or death, I honestly would rather see the Ravens be 0-2, just because this whole offseason, now hear me out, the whole offseason was we're going to be the best, we're going to win, we are the number one team in the AFC. I think them falling really hard is a lot more funnier than the Bengals not making the playoffs, as much as I hate the Bengals. I think them to be 0-2, and if we go 1-1, fair enough, because we shouldn't have won last week. But then to be 0-2 is just hilarious. And they have two really hard games, but every man their dog in Raven neighborhoods thinking we're going to be champions, but you're not as good as you might be you think, and their health problems are really tough too. Lastly, we have, who's the guy on the Raiders, Tate, that can cause problems for the Steelers?
Oh, you mean I get to pick Darren Waller first? the obvious choice.
Yeah, that's
but no, I think that's the obvious choice. So I'll go away from that one. I think on the defensive side of the ball, I think we have to block up Max Crosby and Nassib. I mean, because we have Chooks is not playing well, and Dan Moore is inexperienced tackle. So I think those matchups will be key as far as the offense. I'm not so much worried about the interior, because the Raiders in rushers are stronger than their interior, and I think Trey Turner being a veteran, Kendrick Green coming along, he came out the game for a little bit last week, and Dotson has some experience, and then he's a poised. He seems like a poised young man, so I'm not worried about the interior. I think we can handle that. I think their ends, we need to just block that up, and so I think those players are key. The Raiders' defensive ends.
What about yourself, Jeff? Who's that Raider that we need to?
Let's see. He got to go first, and he took Darren Waller, Max Crosby, and Carl in the seat.
I didn't talk about Darren Waller.
I'm gonna go.
Well, Marky, I'll leave you Waller. I'm going to go with somebody I think could cause the Steelers problems. That is Ruggs. Henry Ruggs is the third, because the one thing we don't have in this secondary, we have gone for smart players who know the defense. We don't have the secondaries we used to have, where we went for athletes, right? We've got Terrell Edmonds still, right? But even Minka is as fast as Darren Waller, right? Darren Waller at 6'6", 250 runs a 40 time the same speed as Minka Fitzpatrick. That's craziness. And then you have Henry Ruggs. So if you've got your tight ends, your physical, your athletes in the secondary worrying about Darren Waller, and you put Ruggs on either Sutton or Hayden outside. Now, Hayden, I'm not too worried about. That man may not be that fast, but he's got that old man savvy. He will hold you in 18 different ways, and the ref won't see any of them.
Right.
He can commit penalties all day, and the ref won't see it because he just knows how to get away with it. He's that dude. But Cameron Sutton, or you get a Trey Norwood, you get someone like that matched up on Henry Ruggs, and let's say for a play or two, they're able to give Derek Carr that ability to step up in the pocket and launch that ball, especially with Tua out. You got Hayward and Alualu, who are pocket crushers. If they're both out, and Carlos Davis isn't in there, and all of a sudden we're not getting that pressure up the middle, you could see the Steelers get burned downfield. We've seen that before.
Ruggs,
we don't have the athletes to really cover that. So
Ruggs
is my dude that I'm like, he's kind of a wild card. And plus, seriously, if he catches one or two balls, that's game changing. He catches 250. He catches a 50-yard pass. That's game changing. So
Ruggs is I'll
go with him.
Ruggs is like a high 4.3 40, isn't he? And then they won a game
4.27, something ridiculous.
They won a game last year in overtime against the Jets like that, where on the play in overtime, where I think it was a bomb to Ruggs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let him go get it.
But it's only the Jets. For me, my player is short and sweet, and it's very hard to go third. I won't take Waller because we all know Waller's amazing. It's I'm quarterback driven really. It's Derek Carr. You got to take his keys and not let him drive the car anywhere, and you take care of him and you win the game. It's really short. You put him under pressure, with enough pressure like we did with the Buffalo Bills guy up there, Alan, and you take care of him. Then we have a good game on our hands, and we can play our football the way we play with Najee. So. We're heading into almost the finish, guys. But just lastly, we'll go around the field with maybe a final thought, your punt of the week, and the score. That's a lot of homework right there. But we'll do that. And we'll start with the final score and the punt of the week, and we'll go with you, Tate.
The final score. I have if I was in Vegas, I have the Steelers covering. So I think we'll get 3 offensive touchdowns, couple field goals. So 27. I'm gonna say 27-17 Steelers.
All right. Do you also have a punt of the week as well? Like would Najee score 2 touchdowns or?
Yeah. I have Najee scoring 2 touchdowns, and I'm hoping for Najee scoring 2 touchdowns because he's on my fantasy team. So yeah, Najee scoring 2 touchdowns is great.
I just gave you mine in the example, and I shouldn't have done that. Now I need to think of one before we end the show.
You say yours, and I just come on and agree with it.
All right, Jeff. Holy dooly, what was I even saying? Who's your punt of the week in the final score?
I've said this before. These 2 teams combined for 16 points through 3 quarters in their week 1 games. Both of their defenses showed up. They put pressure on the quarterback. I am looking for another slow start from the Steelers. Not looking as in looking forward to, but I think we're going to see another slow start from the Steelers. I think we're going to see an ugly game to welcome football back to Heinz Field, a good old classic Steelers slobber knocker of a game. I think we're going to see a game go into the 4th quarter, something like really low scoring. And then you're going to see Derek Carr, like let's say 6-0 Steelers. Derek Carr does what he does, leaves Oakland on a 4th quarter touchdown drive to take the lead 7-6. And then we're going to see Najee Harris catch a pass from Ben Roethlisberger and break it to the house to win the game. My score is 13-7 Steelers.
Wow. So I'm
punt of the week. You ready for this? My punt of the week.
I'm ready.
9 sacks combined between the 2 teams. 9 or 10. We're going to see 9+ sacks from these 2 teams combined.
Well, I think they keep Big Ben upright, so that's 9 sacks to TJ Watt.
I'd go as far as 7-2 Steelers with an advantage, but I think we're going to see 9 or 10 sacks between the 2 teams. We're going to see quarterbacks getting eaten the dirt a lot in this game.
I'm going crazy here in this one, and it's just because I'm a man of my word, not because I actually agree with the prediction. But I said it, and I'll say it again. It's going to be 45-0 Steelers. Najee's going to run 2 touchdowns. Hear me out, fellas. Hear me out. 2 touchdowns for Najee. 2 touchdowns running, 1 for receiving touchdown. Juju's going to get a TD. DJ's going to get a TD. And then to top it off, because we're cheeky, Boswell's going to nail a 49-yarder to be 45-0. See you later, Gruden, mate. Your 10-year deal is nothing to us, mate. Get out of town. I see big things from this Steeler team. I really do. If he can take care of Carr, there's a big game at hand. I would be shocked if it was the opposite and they win 45-0. I think I might just quit. I'll just turn off the computer and just go for a long walk into the lake. No, I'm only
watching soccer.
But there's 0-0 games. They're just like, who's going to win? No one wins. I see big things from this Raiders group. Any final thoughts, and then I'll end the show. Any final thoughts, Jeff?
My final thought for this game is the Steelers need to win the interior line battle on both offense and defense. On offense, get in Derek Carr's face, get around his feet. Don't let him move. Don't let him be comfortable. Stuff the run game. Steelers will dominate them on defense if they do that. And on the other side, win that interior line, win that game, get the run game going, keep Ben Roethlisberger able to step up in the pocket and launch some bombs downfield to Chase Claypool, and let's win a freaking game.
Final thoughts, Tate.
Yeah, no, I just think I'm looking forward to seeing the scheme that the defense uses to try and minimize Waller's impact on the game. I mean, I think we'll see a lot of looks like we did last week. I think you'll see some Terrell Edmonds on Waller, some Bush or Schobert on Waller, maybe even Minka Fitzpatrick on Waller. You know, and each time, no matter who's on them, you know, head up, who's over top of them, I think each person, whoever that is, will have help. So because he's that critical to take out the game, you know. So I anticipate somebody like Hunter Renfrow maybe having a bigger game tomorrow than Waller, just because if Carr takes what the defense gives him, they're not going to give him Waller, so he has to take something else. So that's kind of what I anticipate.
100%. Well, my final thoughts, and I'll wrap it up here. I do believe the Steelers will win. I believe the Steelers go 2-0. I think it's a big showing at home. I also going to throw it out there. My punt of the week was Najee to have 2 touchdowns, but I also covered off about 15 other players to score touchdowns too. 45-0. Here we go. The Steelers are going to win this game 2-0. I really do believe that. And I do believe also that I'm a big AFC North guy and getting into, I think that's the way to get in the playoffs every single year is to run that division and try and have a chance. So I also believe that the Ravens will go 0-2. And I want to leave it with this before I end the show and say, if the Ravens go 0-2 and the Steelers go 2-0, there's so much pressure. There is so much pressure on these Ravens. We have really no pressure on us. We beat the Buffalo Bills. We have a good game against the Raiders, 1-0 and 1-0. It's great. We're both good teams, right? So if the Ravens lose this one and they can't beat the quality sides like the Chiefs or the Browns, and if they're 0-2, I'd be scratching my head saying, is this team going to be a playoff team? And there's a lot of pressure. And from all the fans talking all their yip-yap over the last offseason saying the Ravens are going to be the best, we're sitting in a really good seat because we're still counted out. We'll be counted out going in that Bengals game as well. So, yeah, my final thoughts is Steelers win 2-0. I want to say thank you to you fellas for coming on. It's been awesome for you guys being the Aussies today. Jeff, mate, thank you very much. Tate, mate, thank you again for coming
Mark,
on.
Thank you guys for having me. I just like to say, if anybody has an opportunity, check out the Know-It-Alls. We'll be on tomorrow between the late afternoon game and the Sunday night game for about 45 minutes. So check us out. The Know-It-Alls on YouTube. Thanks.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I'll try, and if I go into that podcast and I don't know anything, am I allowed to be in there? Because I don't know anything here. So is that cool?
Yeah, sure. We don't know anything. We just say we know it all. We don't know anything.
All right, guys, we're going to end it. Thank you, everyone, in the live chat. Thank you, guys, on the audio. Behind the Steel Curtain is an amazing platform. Steelers Touchdown Under is great. This has been a great show. Only a little bit of Raider talk, but we know we're going to get this W. Steelers 2-0. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.